Hey, Miss Wells.
Yes,
This is Mr. Kamal. I have Mr. Miller on the line. Can you hear me okay?
yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, I want to go over your case for a minute, and I just got off the phone with Marlon Moore this morning as well, and I want to cover a little ground. I understand that you were able to get an extension from the federal court.
Yes.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
Obviously excited. He and I were on the phone when the call came through, so he got the news at the same time I did.
Okay, can you breathe a little easier now?
Um, Sort of, I guess. I mean, obviously I'm still nervous. There's lots to be done, but after speaking with Marlon, I actually feel pretty good because we were going over my evidence yesterday, and we actually spent a lot of time on the TSSCI, and he found another violation.
Yes.
And he looked up the statute of limitations for that violation, and it turns out that it's 6 years. And I'm gonna verify it with Legal Shield
Mm-hmm.
to make sure it's 6 years here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna put that through.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposing side is obviously going to want time to investigate that, so they'll probably be asking for an extension themselves. So we'll have more time.
Yes, and I never like to say I told you so, but I'm going to say it. I told you so. You're getting help that is going to be real help. We're not just talking. And everyone that you talked to 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago told you what you just found out. You're entitled to an extension. And that woman has been running over your case like a tank because she's been unopposed, and now you're fighting back. So asking for that extension was the most important thing you could do, and it was granted and without any fanfare. Real simple, right?
Yeah, she was so adamantly opposed to the extension when she found out I was working with an investigative team.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
No. And I don't want you to get too happy about it. I don't want you overwhelmingly, going, okay, now everything's resolved. It's not. But you're in a much different position now that you have time to work on this. And you just got the first, I think the most important thing that you learned from this experience is that you do have standing in that courtroom. The thing is, you're going to have to assert it. You're going to have to say, I want this, I want that. And don't worry about what she thinks. She's not the judge. Understand?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's move on to a few things. First, I want to get back to the issue of the progress of your case. In addition to finding out that you got the extension, you probably had a real relief when Marlon showed you that other cause of action. I talked to him about it this morning, but this is what I don't want to do. You were in a little bit of a panic yesterday when we talked, and I started making all sorts of phone calls to find out if your case was not being handled properly, and I've determined that it is being handled properly. So I'm going to go back to the role I was in a day ago, and you're going to be dealing directly with Marlon, Mr. Miller, and Miss Olson. And if you run into some sort of a problem where you're not getting through to any one of them, then you call me last. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, I have on my screen right now notes that Marlon is giving me, and I'm putting it up, and I'm recording the call right now, so you should know that. The notes I have on my screen include a detailed list of what he's doing on your case, where he is on the case, and how many hours he's putting in on this case. And I've allocated approximately 10 hours of work to be done just drafting the document, but physically he's going to be putting in a lot more time than that. And when we get done between me, Mr. Miller, and Marlon Moore working on your case along with the team, you're going to have somewhere between 50 and 100 hours of work done on this case between now and the time that you file any further documents. That's as much as I can give you, and I think it's enough to handle what needs to be done. But if my biggest concern is not that we're not doing our job, it's the perception that you may have that it's not being done because you may need or require more contact than we can give you. So what I wanted to do, and I told Mr. Moore this morning, is I want your meetings to be scheduled and documented so that I'm keeping track of what's being done on your case, and that we can have an accounting at the end if there is any issue to show you what was done. So as long as you're happy, I'm happy, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page right now with regard to the status of your case. You did get the extension, and that was an extension that we helped you get because we worked on it. If we need to get another extension, we will. And as I told you at the beginning, you read some things on the internet that were kind of salty about us. Everybody has an opinion. It doesn't mean that it's true, and especially if it's on the internet. I work with all of my clients the way I'm working with you right now, and when you called yesterday in a panic, I stopped everything I was doing to find out what was going on with your case, and I'll do that for any one of my clients. So I don't want you to ever feel you shouldn't bring something up or you shouldn't tell me, but everything's not an emergency. We are there for you if you need us. If it is an emergency, we will step in. Right now, I think we have enough time at this point to get it both through the staff and to the paralegals in time to have a proper document filed for you at the appropriate time. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want you to think, I don't think that I have come to you in the past and have been in panic mode or anything like that. When I called you yesterday, it was because I had 20 days left of discovery.
Yeah, but hold on. But we knew that on Saturday when we talked. The dates hadn't changed. Between Saturday and the time that we were on the phone together and yesterday, I know how many days you have, and I've been in communication with Mr. Moore, and that's my point. Maybe you weren't panicked, but you were, when you call me and you tell me it's urgent, and you tell me you were. I mean, I was getting the impression that this had to be filed tomorrow, and that's not the case. And we simply needed to wait to get a response from the court as to whether we were going to get more time. And as predicted, we got more time. So I want to make sure that if there are any other concerns you have, feel free to raise them. But we're going to be working on this, even if you're not talking to us. We're working on it. That's what I'm trying to convey to you.
Well, what I don't want is to work in panic mode or rush mode.
Mm-hmm.
We started this back in June, and we knew back in June what the deadline was for discovery. And so when we got to the 20 days and still nothing had been done or filed or anything like that, surely you can understand my concern.
I understand your concern, but first of all, you've been through 2 lawyers and they didn't get it done, and we can't get it done in a month. So if 2 lawyers didn't take care of this and do it the right way, we're going to do the best we can, and there's a lot of information to go through. I mean, just going through your case and sending a private investigator up there is a lot of work and a lot of time, and we've done more for you in the last month than I think you've been able to get done in the amount of time you've been working on it by yourself. It's going to take more time than that to make it perfect. But your case was in a crisis when we got to it. So what I want to tell you is there are limitations on what we can do, and that if you tell us to do something and we say we're going to do it, we are going to follow through and do it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, so the reason I'm telling you this is because I was prepared to chew out my own staff if they weren't working diligently on the matter. And Marlon had the whole thing under control. There was not, what I'm saying to you is, when you called me as opposed to calling Marlon, that might have been something that's my fault, because I should have communicated in more detail the chain of command with respect to what's being done in your case. So the procedure from this point forward is to communicate with Marlon, communicate with Mr. Miller, and communicate with Miss Olson. And if you're unable to get what you need done through them, then you call me.
Marlon's been good about calling me and giving me direction and sending me files and stuff to read. When I called you, it was simply to say, I really am not in a position right now to read legal documents or to learn the law. I kind of needed somebody, assuming that we only have the 20 days, I needed somebody who to jump right in there with me and take over that piece of it while I feed them the information that they needed.
Gotcha.
And I was just, going to you as the person who knows everybody on your team to say to me, here's the person who can do that for you.
Got you. I got you. Totally understand that. Okay, so we're in a good place right now. I think we're moving forward. We're making progress. We got the extension. So I want to just call you and touch base and tell you that Mr. Moore's information is being sent to me daily. And if there's something that you need beyond what he's doing, do what you did yesterday. Give me a call, and we'll make sure it happens. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn to some other clients I need to deal with. So have a great day, Miss Wells. I've got Mr. Moore's notes. I do want to address the other thing you just said a minute ago about the documents that he sent you from the Federal Rules of Procedure.
Yes.
Okay. You do need to start reading that stuff. I talked with him about that this morning, and he didn't send that to you to overwhelm you. He sent that to you so that you could start working on it and get a grasp of what needs to be done, because your case is in kind of a crisis mode. He wants to educate you, or have you educate yourself as much as you can, and he will be going back and forth with you. When you send him the documents, he'll respond in time to any concerns that are raised, but he wants you to be familiar on your own, just so you can have an adequate picture of your case and your presentation to the court, and know what the rules are. It'll help you make decisions about what evidence to present and how to present it. Okay?
Right, and as an educator, and as I said yesterday, I think that's a great strategy for somebody in a different situation.
Yes.
That document is difficult for me to read, and I don't know if maybe down the road you guys are planning on doing Legalese 101 class, something like that.
No, I think that's a great idea. Yes. Well, to be frank with you, Miss Wells, the purpose of those Tuesday meetings, that's the whole point. We want to take, and that's why we're even recording all our meetings with clients like you. We want to have a good record of what's being done, how it's being done, and you're dead on. Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, because I would definitely sign up for that, because I told Marlon, I said, you must be a genius, because every time I try to read these kinds of documents, I feel like an idiot.
No, it's overwhelming. Listen, I have a master's degree from Penn State, and I can't read that stuff. It's hard to read, and it's a burden. So we're going to make it as easy as possible. I'm going to ask Marlon to hold some workshops on Saturday so we can do exactly what you're describing.
Cool.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is Mr. Miller going to stay on the line when you leave? Because I have a question for him.
Yeah, actually, you can ask. He can hear you. Miller, hang on a second. You can't hear him, but I can hear him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Miller, can you hear Miss Wells? Yeah, go ahead, Miss Wells. He can hear you.
Marlon, I had a question yesterday when we were talking, so we wanted to ask you. I can't remember exactly what it was at this point, but have you looked over the evidence that I have so far on the identity theft case? Because Marlon was throwing out a lot of stuff. He was just like asking all these questions, and he's really, really good about thinking outside the box, if you will, trying to try to solve this. Because he says something to me. He feels that a lie is always going to come to light if you ask the right questions.
Yes.
And I think there's definitely some truth in that. And I was wondering if you looked at the evidence that's out there so far that's posted.
Well, actually, hold on. I tried. Mr. Miller called me yesterday he was trying to get into your file, and he had some difficulty with the password. So this is what I want to do. I want to schedule. I'm sorry?
This is a different file. This was a link that I sent only to you, him, and to. I'm not sure if I even sent it to Marlon, but I know I sent it to you and him.
Well, do me a favor. Do me a favor, Miss Wells. Can you resend me that? Send me that link and send it to Mr. Miller right now.
Okay.
Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to schedule a short client conference with you, Mr. Miller, and Marlon together on the phone at the same time. And if you do it inside of our GoToMeeting conference line, you can when you do the conference line, what you can do is you can show the document. You all can look at it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. You remember when you logged in the other night on the computer and you clicked the link and then you got in differently than you were on the phone?
I'm sorry?
I said when you were on the conference line last Tuesday, we had you click a link and that actually took you straight into GoToMeeting.
Yes.
Okay, if you'll do that maybe next week or two, I'll give it either Saturday or Tuesday. Let's try to do it Saturday. I'll find out what Mr. Miller's schedule is. You can actually show him all the documents you want him to see. That way you can explain it from your point of view, and then he and Marlon can decide what evidence Mr. Miller has that will be useful to you, or he can give you his perspective at that point. We don't need to do it now, and frankly, I actually have to go because I have another client's case I have to deal with in like 3 minutes. It's almost 11:30, it's 11:27 now, so I don't want to rush on this. But if you'll send me the link, I will review it. I'll set a time for you, Marlon, and Mr. Miller to go through it, and you can all go through it together.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I'll send that to you now.
Okay, I'll be looking out for it, and I'll let you know if I don't get it in 10 minutes. I'll send you an email back.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Wells. Have a great day, and I will talk with you either over the weekend or on Tuesday.
Okay, you have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Miller. You still there?
Yeah.
All right, I want to go over this other case that we have right now, which is the one that's on the screen. The gentleman with the broken arms, Mr. Sanchez, and his mother with the broken foot. Have you had a chance to look at that video yet? No, I haven't even sent you the file. I didn't think you had. Okay, well, not a problem. Excuse me. The family is meeting this weekend. They're going to be discussing the case, and they may decide to do a major investigation. They're based in South Florida, and I'm going to probably want you to go out there. So when you get an opportunity, take a look at this at the case. All right? Actually, he filled out a first thing you should do is log into the complaint form, and if you do that, you'll see the complaint system, and you'll see his complaint. It's under like Arnel Sanchez. I think listen, if you just do a search on the complaint in the complaint system and just type in Sanchez, it'll pull up his complaint. Okay, and I'm gonna call a client, Kevin Hale, right now. So let me just find him.
We are not available now. Please leave your name and phone number after the beep. We will return your call.
Hey, Mr. Hale, this is Mr. Kamal with PoliceAbuse.com. I'm calling you about the firearms report. I do have the report on my screen. And I would like for you to take a look at it. I'm going to be emailing it to you later this morning. And I do have some questions and some opinions I want to give you. So do give me a call back at your earliest convenience. Thank you. Or you can call Mr. Miller. Okay, Miller, let me tell you what I want you to do on this report. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to email this to Hale. I want you to go over it with him if he calls. If he doesn't get me, he may call you. So if you do get him on the phone, briefly describe that because I talked to the expert, and I don't know how much you've spoken with him at this point. He just doesn't have enough to do anything with this. And I don't really need you to go in all that detail with Mr. Hale. just tell him the author of the report and his analysis concluded that there is not enough to prove that the mortar rounds were fired into the building or into the ground. And the thing that he based that on, obviously, are the impressions left that are visible in the photographs that are definitively not what the client thinks they are. So I will talk. Yeah, I know it's kind of obvious. So I'm going to call Mr. Hale again later this morning. If he calls me back or doesn't get me, he may try to call you. I just want you to be prepared to tell him that he can call me back or we can talk about it later. But the experts' conclusions are that this doesn't prove what he's looking for. And the second thing, did you have a complaint that you were working on with the Summit County Sheriff's Office? Okay, it must be something that I filed. All right, I think that's it. We're going to call Miss Atkins now. I don't need to do that on a live show, so I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll put a call into Elena Atkins, and I'll touch base with you in a minute. You can go ahead and log out from the meeting room now if you like, and we'll go from there off record. Yeah, actually, I do. Okay, but I'm gonna stop the Make TV window right